Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure, as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. Do you want to become a better shooter, reduce flinch, protect your ears, and just overall enjoy shooting your gun that much more? Then there's no better way to do that than by adding a suppressor to the end of your barrel. Be sure to check out Huxwrx Safety Co, as they are a leader in the suppressor world with their OSS Flow-Through Technology, virtually eliminating blowback and toxic gas that can affect weapon system performance and shooter health. To find out more about Huxwrx, go to huxwrx.com. That's huxwrx.com, and go get yourself a suppressor for your upcoming hunts. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by OnX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is OnX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, OnX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust OnX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about OnX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt. And check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. All right, guys, if you're in the market for optics, I want you to go check out blackdiamondoptics.com. Black Diamond Optics offers world-class sporting and tactical optics, including thermals, all at wholesale pricing, direct to consumer. They are going to be partnering up with us for 2023, and I want to start pointing you over towards their direction. Check out Black Diamond Optics. If you've got any questions about it, shoot us a message. Love to hear from you. Be blessed, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and I am joined by a fellow warrior in the woods, somebody who I got to know a couple of years ago when I toured the formerly known as OSS Suppressors headquarters, now known as Huxwrx Safety Co. They are one of our sponsors, and today we have on the OEM relationship manager and marketing manager, Mikey, the Redneck Mafia, just coming here, blowing things up. We're going to be talking suppressors, hunting, and a whole lot more, and diving into all this stuff where OSS, now known as Huxwrx, is leading the way with the technology that's in the market and regarding sound suppression for hunting and shooting. So, brother, without further ado, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, doing wonderful on a Tuesday night. We're a week out from heading up to Idaho for a spring bear hunt, and going to be taking a mentee from the state of Texas with me, returning the favor, taking a flatlander up into the mountains, and it's going to be an awesome time. So you're heading up to Idaho here pretty soon for a bear hunt as well, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Heading out Memorial Day weekend.
What do you think? What do you think of spring bear hunting? You think more mid-May, early May, or do you like to get into the rut of June? Obviously, you're kind of hitting that middle time, just like I am.
And it's really going to be dependent on the weather and how the snowpack is. You follow that snow line and you try to hit it, and it's dependent on a lot of variables. But I think this year is going to be the best time is going to be early June to mid-June.
Yeah.
So
we got in there, Soul Seekers crew got in there last year on, I think, like May 14th, May 15th, and it ended up snowing 5 inches the night before. And I was like, doggone it. Just kind of put that damper a little bit on the type of plans and hunting that we wanted to accomplish. The snow was sitting higher, so we didn't really get up high and glass down into the draws as much as we wanted to. We saw a good amount of bears, but we were unable to seal the deal, unfortunately. So we got that episode coming out June 6th. Episode 1 of Soul Seekers, Season 3 is hitting on Carbon TV, so you guys can check that out. But, brother, you've been working for Huxwrx for quite some time, haven't you?
it's been a while. I think it's 6 years now, 6 or 7. I can't recall. It's been a minute.
Do you feel like everyone has to whisper at a suppressor factory because you guys are all about managing sound?
I don't know. I find my office to be very loud.
Yeah, that's no one wears hearing protection because you don't have to when you wear suppressors. Apparently, what do you like? What do you like best about working in the gun industry?
Honestly, the experiences and the people I get to meet, which is a lot of really cool people, a lot of like-minded individuals, and yeah, just and a lot of fun activities.
Fun activities, ain't that the truth? So, have you always been into shooting and hunting, or where does your origin story start with that?
Ugh. After after I got medically discharged from the military, I needed something to keep me busy and keep my mind occupied. So I started hunting, and I started hunting a lot, and shit grew from there.
It grows real fast. Going into your Instagram account and diving into the stuff that you've accomplished, you've had a lot of opportunities to kill some amazing animals over the years. Did you start? Was your dad a hunter? Did he put a rifle in your hands at a young age, or what happened with that regard?
So my dad was never in the picture, but my grandpa, who worked 60 to 70 hours a week, we'd go deer hunting once or twice a year, and we were weekend warriors. But I loved going hunting with my grandfather, and when I started hunting more, it just evolved from there. But can never can never rewrite or make memories better than those early hunts with my grandfather. So I
Uh,
would,
How
yeah.
old were you? Do you think when you first got out into the field?
Uh, 3 to 4, younger than I can remember.
Dude, that is incredible. At what age were you when you shot your first animal?
Uh, that would have been probably about 7ish. I actually went rabbit hunting with my father and shot a jackrabbit and hit it with the 410, and he was too cheap to let me shoot again, and it was crying, so he made me finish it off other ways. Probably wasn't the greatest hunting story, but definitely gonna remember that trauma.
Well, they always say, you get to learn from everything. So now whenever you get to become a parent or or however that goes, you'll know how not to do things, huh?
Oh, if I ever had a child, it's gonna be a fucked up child.
Oh man. So you've been shooting, hunting, grandfather, father, you went into the military. How long were you in the military? What branch were you in?
I was in it for a very short stint. I was in the Marine Corps. They were doing the swine flu shots in 2009. It's been a while, but turned my kidneys off. And once you have something wrong with you in the military, they get you out pretty quick.
Oh man, what a disappointment. I feel like, the government, I'm speaking from an opinion, not from a true perspective, but I feel like the government doesn't treat their military very well.
It's all about what you make it. And you can always look at it from a negative point of view, or you can just suck it up and deal with it and find the positive in it.
That's a very Marine answer of you right there. I, lo-
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so Mikey, um, when you got into shooting and hunting, was it something that like I'm doing it because my granddad did it and I want to bond with him? Or was it like you felt this itch, like that's just what you were supposed to do, like it was ingrained in your DNA?
So I started because I got out of the military and I needed something to keep me preoccupied and keep my mind in the right areas. So I got out, and it just got very addicting. And there were days I was hunting every day of the week, duck hunting and filling limits every day. And it just became a passion. And then after a passion, it became work. And now it's work, but it's still a passion.
Yeah. You've had some opportunities to kill some big animals over the years. Diving in. Was that a bison hunt that you went on last year?
That was 2 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly. Time just blends anymore.
Ain't that the truth? Tell us a little bit about that hunt and how that was that a Utah hunt where'd you go for that?
That was the Roadless Book Cliffs in Utah, and probably one of the more stressful hunts. I had plans to hunt with a good friend that had some mules, and when it came time to hunt, he got COVID and was sick and didn't really have horses at that point. Went out with a bunch of coworkers one day, and we we hiked a good 15 to 18 miles that day, and we saw some big bison. We probably saw record book bison. We chased that for a while and it got away. The kind of actually very glad we didn't shoot that because we were probably about 9 miles in and there were six of us. There would have been no way we'd have got a bison out in a timely manner. But that was an experience. And then I hit up a friend to see if he could go and whatnot, and didn't happen. I didn't want to waste my tag, so I was actually going to go up solo and try to do a bison, and I would have had to figure it out myself. And I would have made it happen, but it would have been a lot of work. But one of my good friends hit me up and said, "You're not doing that," and made some calls, found a good gentleman with some horses, and we went up and we were going to hunt him for a couple days. And we got up there and was hunting the first day, and we found a bison herd that was actually really close to some Indian land, and we found the one that we wanted, and we snuck up really close to it. Had a 6.5 PRC, and ended up getting within about 100 yards. I think they thought they were on Indian land still, so they didn't really give two craps. But we snuck up on them, and I placed my shot, hit the bison with the 6.5 PRC right through the heart, which I was actually very lucky that I hit it in the heart because the bullet never expanded.
Mhm.
So I got very lucky. It was a pinhole, and it stood there for like 5 seconds and then fell over dead, which was pretty cool.
Wow. Wow.
And then the real work began. We spent hours caping and cutting that up.
Oh,
And
I can only imagine.
yeah, and I don't know if you've ever hunted with mules, but when you put animals on their back and they smell something new, they kind of get really skittish and not so happy. So that was fun.
What's up, Soul Seekers Nation? Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate it. As a reward, I have some discount codes for you to use if you are in the market for a brand new hunting pack. Go check out initialascent.com and Initial Ascent packs. They are made in America. Their one-piece carbon frame is an absolute game changer. We run their packs. We love them. And you can save 5% at checkout by using the code SOULSEEKERS. That's all one word. Also, for those of you who are archery hunters and you are tired of shooting at dots on a target, check out deadnutsoutdoors.com for their lifelike 2D archery targets. You can save 20% on all of their products by using the code SOULSEEKERS at checkout. Once again, the code is SOULSEEKERS, all one word. Go check out initialascent.com and Dead Nuts Outdoors. Enjoy the podcast. Oh, man. Yeah, I have only experienced hunting with mules one time, but I wasn't there to actually put the meat on the backs of them. So um, I was with an outfitter and we were off still hunting. I dropped an elk and and so they called in the cavalry to come do that while we were out still chasing and filling another tag. So, uh, was that a once in a lifetime hunt that you pulled off?
So yes, it is a once in a lifetime hunt. It took me 7, 8 points to draw that. Typically it's like 25, 27. But with the bison herds getting a lot larger in certain areas, they have been giving more tags out. Um, and as of right now, they actually do some over the counter bison tags, which are meant to help thin some bison out on some Indian grounds because they're disturbing Indian artifacts. But that's a pretty hard hunt. You either have to take horses in or you have to raft in, and it's a very hard hunt to do. So
Wow.
for the
Did
most part, it's once in a lifetime.
did you how much meat did you end up getting off that? Like 500 pounds? How big is a bison when you walk up on it?
I got about 900 pounds of meat. It was a very big bison. It was probably, and I might have over guessed that, but it was probably about a 1,500 pound animal. It was the size of a cow.
Wow. Wow, true. And did you did you end up putting anything in a backpack and walking out with it, or was everything straight on a mule?
Luckily, it was all on mules, so I didn't have any weight on my back.
Man, I can only imagine. What about do you shoulder mount something like that? Euro it? What'd you end up doing?
I ended up doing a Euro mount, putting it up in the office. The I don't know if you've seen elk mounts, but bison mounts take up even more space and room, and yeah,
Oh yeah. Yes, I have I can only imagine that those heads are monstrous. Just absolute monsters. So, what did you end up learning from that hunt? Would you walk away with anything like, "Wow, I can't believe I did that," or what would you say is one of the toughest aspects of that?
I've learned that I want mules. Mules and horses make things a lot easier,
Yeah.
but in reality, also, I've learned perseverance. Like, if you can't make something happen, make something else happen. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on opportunity.
Mhm. Man, that is so incredible. You you give away a lot of the meat, or were you able to just pow through it and eat eat bison every night?
I actually just ate some not too long ago. I saved most of it. I gave the hide to the friend that brought the mules. But the meat, I've kept most of it, and it's still in my deep freezer, and I'm eating about a quarter pound a day.
Nice. Man, that is incredible. Awesome. I love it. Well, brother, let's shift gears here. Let's talk a little suppressors and Huxwrx Safety Company. So obviously the listeners have been following along with the podcast. They hear the ad that runs about Huxwrx Safety Company and how you guys are just a leader in the suppressor world with the patented OSS Flow-Through Technology that really helps with eliminating blowback and toxic gas that can come and be all up in a shooter's face that affects performance and also the health, which is something that isn't talked about very often. Is like we're if suppressors were a part of OSHA, right? Health of everybody, then you would think that they'd be more advantageous to get in the hands of people that shoot firearms and hunt and all this stuff. And yet it's something that is so regulated and so trivial. So, uh, give a can you give a little history on Huxworks and where you guys are heading and what went down with the rebranding?
So we'll go all the way back to the beginning. So Huxworks used to be OSS suppressors, and before OSS suppressors, it was operator suppressor systems. And from the very beginning, the founders created flow through technology, which at the time was scrutinized and everybody laughed at it. And as people were laughing, we were advancing, making new and better products every year. And we are actually to the point now in this industry that everybody is chasing flow through technology. And it is going to be the standard of the military and law enforcement world because it keeps your guns running like they're not being suppressed, keeping the end user safe from the toxic gases, and also helping to protect your hearing. But when I say protecting your hearing, let's also talk the safety aspect of that. You should still always wear hearing protection if you're going to shoot more than one shot because your hearing will get damaged with multiple impulses because the crack of a bullet is still typically around 143 dBs, which will hurt your hearing with multiple exposures.
Interesting. You're the first person I've ever heard say that when it comes to shooting suppressed. So that makes sense, right? Just because it's suppressing the muzzle blast doesn't mean it's not still uh, eliminating the supersonic crack of the bullet. So that's what would you say the same goes for subsonic ammunition in that regard?
So subsonic ammo isn't going to break the sound barrier, so it's not going to give you that crack. Um, but also when you have your ear right next to the action, which is slapping, you can get about 120 to 125 dBs. So I might just be overly cautious because I personally have lost a lot of my hearing. I would say to wear that hearing aid.
Interesting. Okay. I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As a thank you, I got more discount codes for all of you. If you are in the market for anything in regards to calls, whether it's elk calls, turkey calls, deer, or predator calls, you can save 15% on all Rocky Mountain hunting calls by using the code Soul Seekers. That's all one word. And if you're in the market for hard side hydration, a better way to hydrate, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SoulSeekers10 to save 10%. And we also have a discount at Graxaw.com. Graxaw is the leader in ultralight game bags and other backcountry gear. Light, fast, and efficient is their motto. Use the code SoulSeekers, all one word, to save 10% at checkout. So OSS is now Huxwrx. You guys patented the flow-through technology. You say you guys are really taking the lead on that. Now everyone's starting to chase you. Um, from my knowledge, you guys are the only ones that does this type of technology. So when you say people are starting to chase you, are you finding that a lot of other suppressor manufacturers are trying to figure out your I don't know, the patents and work around it to come up with their own similarities?
Uh, yes, there's a few companies out there who have tried to mimic us or try to make their own ventable suppressors that or low blowback suppressors. But because of our technology and our patents, it is extremely hard, and they are not getting even close to the same uh, gas mitigation that we are. Um, but time will tell, and see what they can do. But we've been advancing for so long and have some very smart individuals at Huxwrx that they're going to be trying to win a race that I don't think they're going to get to.
Mm. Man, the suppressor technology is so crazy. When I was down there a year ago and touring the factory, one of your developers, it blew me away that he used to build rock climbing gear and has patents on products in which I have personally used before, and now he's here at Huxwrx developing um, stuff that we can't even talk about here on this podcast. And it's like there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. It's like the ultimate transformer, right?
Yeah, and since the last time he came in, we've been actually working on other stuff, which is mind blowing. Um, there's some great stuff coming. And asking that question, I guess I should ask, when will this podcast be released? Because I might be able to give some more info.
Oh, it's going to be released in 2 weeks from today. So,
Okay, so let's since we can talk about it then, in 2 weeks from today, we will actually have a new suppressor, which is going to blow the market away. It's called the Flow 762 Ti. It is a 10-ounce suppressor, and it is phenomenal. It's a 762, so you can shoot anything from a 30 cal all the way down to a 22 if you wanted. So a lot of people struggle to understand 30 cals. So a 762 is a 30 cal. So you can do anything from like a say a 300 Norma or 30-06 all the way down to .65 Creedmoor down to a .243, down to a .556, like, so 30 cals all the way down. You can run through it. But this can is amazing. It's fully 3D printed titanium. It is actually more durable than our current HXQD 762 stainless steel can, which says a lot. The technology in it is years in the making, and we still keep learning new stuff, and it's just getting better and better.
So impressive. Getting to see that Flow 556 in action. I don't have one of my own yet, but it definitely am excited to see what that's like and get my hands on it down the road. But one of the things that I have for a question when it comes to suppressors is this idea of like you guys still sell just a basic 762 stainless steel suppressor. So everyone, from my knowledge, loves to shop. What's the lightest suppressor and the quietest suppressor? Lightest and quietest, lightest and quietest. Is there still a market for these stainless steel suppressors, or are people what market class are what people are buying those ones?
Okay, so there again, let's talk about the quietness. Regardless of your suppressor and what you're shooting, you should probably wear hearing protection, which, if you're doing that, if you're chasing DBs, you're always going to be let down. Um, so, what you should be looking for is functionality, and functionality with a purpose. With stainless steel cans, you're going to typically get a lot more durability and full auto readiness because of the durability of stainless steel compared to titanium. When titanium gets hot, it gets more brittle, which wears it down faster. But having said that, our new titanium 762 flow can is more durable than our HXQD 762 stainless steel can. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the stainless steel side, you're going to see a lot of military units or people with short barrels, full autos using those. Um, or if you're doing hunts out east and you only have to walk a couple hundred yards, weight isn't going to be much of a deal. So there's still a market for it.
Oh man, so crazy. I'm on your guys' website right now and I'm just like poking around the different suppressors and the cans and all that stuff. The flow, is that going to be that's the future of suppressor technology right there. Just the whole concept of 3D printing. Are you guys able to build them faster and kick them out faster, or how does that work in regards to um, the inventory in which you guys have to keep?
So the current machines that can print suppressors are pretty limited, and they can typically print about, if I recall correctly, about 40 suppressors in like a 23-hour, 28-hour time period.
Hmm.
So it is a lot harder to make a lot of them faster. You just have, and the way you have to do it is just find more vendors to cut them and print them and whatnot. But where there's a will, there's a way. So if we need to make a lot of them, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. One of the things I love about your guys' suppressors, because I got in the suppressor market quite a while ago and ended up, I hate to say it, I went with a silencer co from the get go. This is before I even heard of OSS and Huxwrx. And I ended up all these suppressors they twist righty tighty lefty loosey, and I actually blasted off my suppressor off the end of my barrel. And thank the good Lord I didn't have any baffle strikes. But one of the things I love about your guys is that fact that you put your suppressors to twist the opposite direction so that it goes with the bullet so that it tightens it down rather than loosens it up as it comes out. Is that correct?
Correct. So we are reverse thread on the suppressor. And what that does actually is it keeps your suppressor tight on your muzzle device, which keeps it, I'm trying to think of the correct words. It helps with accuracy because it keeps it seated correctly, and because it is reverse thread, you'll never get carbon locked on there, so you can pop your suppressor off. The When they get hot, regardless, it's always going to be a little harder to take off, but you can use an adjustable wrench or a glove usually to take it off. But when they cool down, it's usually like opening a jar of pickles.
That's wild. Yeah, ever since I blasted my first suppressor off the end of my gun, I all of a sudden was like, oh, because some of the spots that I was hunting up in the mountains in the state of Washington at the time, you're shooting off of a rock face, aiming downhill, 500 yards or whatever, out in timber. Last thing you want to do is shoot your can off the end of your gun and then be like, well, there goes at the time, $1,500, maybe more, and about 2 years of my life just taken off the gun down the mountain. So that was one thing that really spoke to me when it came to the Huxwrx cans was, oh, now I don't have to stress about losing it, which is a big investment to have disappear in the woods when you're shooting.
Yeah, I will give a lot of suppressor companies props for that though. If you do shoot your suppressor off, any good suppressor company will warranty your suppressor typically at least once. With Huxwrx, we typically don't have to warranty because our suppressors don't have issues as often.
I love it. Okay, so talk a little bit more about why would somebody want to go with a 7.62 can over a dedicated 5.56? Obviously, for hunting purposes, we want larger caliber, so the 7.62 makes sense from 30 cals all the way down. But why would somebody want to just dedicate a 5.56 can to their gun?
So I typically tell people when it's your first suppressor, get a 7.62 because you're going to be able to put it on more of your guns. And then people will get into the dedicated cans as they get more suppressors and they don't want to swap them around or move them as much. With 5.56 cans, a good 5.56 can will typically work better than a 5.56 because the hole in the suppressor is going to like be smaller, so you're going to get better sound reduction.
Hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So one of the things when I got my first suppressor, I did exactly what you said. I went 30 cal because I was like, oh, I can use it on all my guns. And then I realized that what is in Hollywood movies is not accurate when it comes to this idea of suppression, sound suppression. They are suppressors, not silencers. And if you really want like Hollywood quiet, the only real true way to do that is to go with a 22 suppressor. And so instantly I found myself wanting to get into the 22 caliber suppressors because plinking with a 22 is the most fun you could ever have. Does your flow through technology stand true with the 22 as well, or is there anything different about that?
So we have our Rad 22, which is baffles with coils on the outside of it. The 22s being very low pressure to begin with, you don't need as many channels to flow through. Uh, so it's like a 50-50 can. Where our Rad 22 really shines is when you get into other calibers such as the 5.7 or the 17 HMR, 22s and smaller, basically 22 caliber and smaller, basically. The you'll get the you'll get that gas going on the outside coils, and you'll actually see the extra burn off coming out the front of the suppressor, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you guys plan on doing any 3D printing of the 22 cans?
Time will tell. Stay
Haha,
tuned.
stay tuned. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if the future technologies, if 3D printing works, might as well just keep capturing it. When it comes to suppressors, I've always, there it's kind of like tattoos, right? You get your first tattoo, and it's all of a sudden like, oh man, I can't wait till my next tattoo, and then my next one, and so before long, you'll end up having just a whole supply of suppressors. Do you guys get repeat customers a lot, or what do you say your percentage is between first time buyers and the repeat?
So I'm going off old data, but I had a fellow industry person talking to me a couple years back, and they had brought up some very interesting data at the time. A few years back, there were only 3 to 5 million suppressors in this commercial market, and of those, most average people had 3 suppressors. So once you buy one, you typically don't stop. And just a little funny story on that. I've been in this industry for a while now, and I actually just got my first suppressor 2 weeks ago.
No way. Really?
My own personal one, and it was actually the Rad 22. It's probably my favorite suppressor to put on my 17 HMR and go shoot rodents with.
Dude, that is so awesome that that's the first can you went with. That is awesome. Well, I mean, I'd say welcome to the family, but you already work at the factory, so I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Um, what made you go with the Rad 22 as your first can?
It is just stupid fun to use. It is. I I go out and I shoot a lot of critters, and let's face it, 17 HMR and 22 is a lot cheaper. So when I run up to Wyoming or to shoot prairie dogs, or I go up into the mountains and just shoot rodents all day, I can have hours and hours worth of fun for a fraction of the price.
Yes. Yeah, it takes a lot of money to shoot big calibers over and over. Moving down here to the state of Texas, I've been shooting all my hogs with 5.56 because it's a lot cheaper than shooting them with 308 or my 6.5, and I think it's time to actually switch over to the large caliber because I've had a few get away from me that I'm not proud of. That it's time to drop them in their tracks. I'm not playing that game anymore.
Yeah, usually usually I recommend bigger calibers for game size animals. Most people, everybody can shoot good on paper, but when you get out in the field, everything changes. Unless you've killed a lot of things, everybody gets a little bit antsy, or they get buck fever, as you like to call it.
Yep.
And bigger bullets equal more energy typically, and more energy equals more dropping power.
Oh man, that is freaking awesome. Mikey, what do you got in store for yourself this coming year
Oh, that's a good question. I got a on the on my side or the Huxwrx side.
on your personal side?
Well, kind of combined with Huxwrx. Again, I got a bear hunt next week. I'm hoping to get down to Texas in July, August, and shoot some pigs, uh, and just a lot of other really cool hunts. Probably a fall bear, deer, elk, swan, tons of ducks.
I hear those
Any
swan
critter.
hunts are supposed to be pretty awesome.
Swan hunting is probably one of my favorite types of hunting. There's nothing like having a swan or a B-52 flying over you, and you get them into the decoys and then drop them, and they make the biggest splash.
I hate to say, there's so much critical, judgmental attitude when it comes to hunting and what you put out into the world, and you're portraying hunting in a negative light. I will tell you this: when I have gone duck hunting and I'm seeing ducks just not the shot where they're flying and they kind of just fall at an angle, but the ones where they stop midair and just drop vertical or straight to the ground and then just whap. It cracks me up every single time. I giggle like a little kid. I don't know why. Maybe it's in poor taste, but it just really it gets me chuckling. So I can only imagine a B-52 big old swan dropping from the sky.
Yeah, again, like swan hunting is probably one of my bigger passions, and I'll get out there with friends, and we'll help dozens of people get their swans. And every time you see one hit the water, it's it's nothing but good times. And having said that, there's also a lot of people that probably shouldn't be swan hunting. They'll be shooting at swans 100 yards high and soaring them. So yeah, it's it's a different game, and it's a lot of fun.
Wild, wild. Hey, one of the questions I forgot to ask you, talking about going back to the Huxwrx concept, is you guys have a device that is not regulated by the ATF, but is something that is meant to, I want to say, be similar to a suppressor, but not mitigate sound the way a suppressor does. Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So you're talking about the blasphemy. It is a really good blast deflector. So some states they don't allow you to have suppressors or hunt with suppressors, and the blasphemy is a cool little device that you can put onto your muzzle device, which when you shoot it helps put the concussion downrange rather than to the side or directly back at you. It doesn't dampen the sound, but it helps send it in the right direction downrange rather than right back at you. It's still loud, definitely wear hearing protection, but it will definitely help with the concussion and make it so people don't hate you at the range.
I'll tell you, the very first time I ever experienced somebody shooting an AR pistol at a gun range, an open outdoor gun range, guy was shooting and my teeth were chattering next to me. I was like, dude, come on, man. It's horrible. Those short barrels, but if I was to put this on my hunting rifle as well, I'd still really get to enjoy the benefits of it as well.
Yeah, it it makes a big difference. And you also, from a safety aspect, think of all that concussion when it comes back at your face. Like it's not healthy for you. The If it's rattling your jaw and rattling your eyes, it's probably rattling your brain as well.
Hmm.
So
You guys are the only ones in the industry that make something like this, if I'm correct.
there's a few other companies that make them. Uh, yeah, there's a few others.
But nobody's making them the way you are. Your guys' reviews on this is just top notch. Um,
Yeah.
it's a,
Uh, a blast deflector is a blast deflector, but ours look kind of like the real ones, just a lot smaller, and they're just more aesthetically pleasing, I would say.
and they're cheaper, and you don't have to wait. So, I mean, there is something to be said about that as well. Would you ever run one on your hunting rifle?
I'm spoiled, so I get to use suppressors whenever I want. So when possible, I'm always going to use a suppressor. But if I did not have a suppressor and I wanted to run a brake still rather than just a non-brake barrel, I would definitely run one.
Okay, so you're saying that this you put it over top of a brake, and you still get the benefits of a brake, but without
Yes,
the just mind blowing blast.
correct.
How does that work if it's supposed to kick it out to the side and there's what, a half inch of a gap, less, quarter inch of a gap from the openings of the brake?
I have no way to explain it. I'm not a scientist, but it works.
I freaking love it. I freaking love it. Well, I'll tell you, you guys are doing a great job over there. It's really fun to be a part of the Huxwrx team, being a part of everything that you're doing. One of the things, the owner of the company, when you guys rebranded and went with Safety Company rather than OSS Suppressors, Huxwrx Safety Company, um, you guys have stuff in the works that is beyond suppressors, stuff for everyday people, medical professionals, stuff like that?
So I'll deep dive that a little bit. So we changed over to Huxwrx Safety Co. and for a few reasons. One, it's a human exposure workshop. We are trying to make shooting safe or safer. Um, and as you know, suppressors are regulated more than actual guns, and they're considered a firearm by the ATF. By changing to a safety company, we are calling them safety devices, and we hope to help take that stigma away from suppressors and firearms in general. The the purpose of a suppressor is to help protect the end user from the concussions, the loud noise, and even more so if the gas that a typical suppressor throws in your face, we are trying to protect against that as well. Um, and most countries, they actually require you to hunt with the suppressor because of the safety and not disturbing your neighbors. But in changing our name, it opens up more opportunities to make more products if we desire.
Interesting. I love it. Well, brother, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to make sure that we hit for all our listeners before we sign off for the episode?
I I'll tell you a story about hunting with some suppressors, which is actually some pretty good knowledge or something that most people wouldn't think of or realize. Last year, I got to hunt with my former boss, Jay Neely, great dude. He's over at Boss Barrels now, doing great stuff there. Uh, we were out on a hunting trip with a bunch of guys, and we would all go to our own directions and be trying to film it. And people would be shooting deer or be shooting their rifles, and they'd be a ridge over or only a couple 100 yards away in the mountains, and nobody would notice that they were there. Actually, the sound dissipated that much that you never know they took a shot, which I thought was really cool. And then also my old former boss, Jay Neely, he might get a little mad if he hears this, but he took a shot at a deer, which he missed because I gave him the wrong dope. But because he had the suppressor, because he had the suppressor on his rifle, he took a few shots at it, and that deer just stood there. It was about 100 yards away, probably a 60-degree angle downhill, and he kept missing. But that's on him. But that deer just stood there, and it allowed for multiple follow-up shots in a actually very timely manner. And I actually had something similar to that happen with a friend when we were up hunting on the Three Corners in Utah on a limited entry elk hunt. He kept missing and missing, and he kept getting more and more follow-up shots because of that suppressor. Where if he was shooting with a break or a non-suppressed weapon, that elk would have been 3 towns over, and he would have never gotten it after his first shot. It truly does make an impact on your hunting.
Wow. That is wild. Absolutely wild. Makes sense. Love it. I can't wait to get to put it to the test as well. We're going to be rocking one Huxwrx suppressor this coming bear hunt here. However, I'm still waiting on mine. Will's still waiting on his. It's such a dude, the ATF, this whole 90-day e-file, and now I'm sitting at over 295 days. And they're saying the average is 230. So it's a sham, I tell you, but really excited. And I feel like I'm every day just hitting refresh on my email. Come on, give me that notification. Give it to me.
See, if you really hate the wait times, I would highly suggest checking out Gun Owners of America, or even better, American Suppressor Association, and help them fight the good fight and give the ATF the middle finger. The more people that stand up for their rights or make suppressors a norm, the better we'll have at fighting unconstitutional laws.
Ain't that truth? Well, and the fact that ATF can't even make laws, but they feel like they can. You know, they're not Congress. So wild, man. We could go on a whole episode just about the jive turkey gun laws in this nation and the things that people are trying to shove down our throats. So we'll save that one for another time.
I'll have to get you on with my compliance guy so you can talk about laws. So that'll be a good one.
There you go. That'd be awesome. Oh, brother. Mikey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody, hope you guys like this episode. You took some knowledge from it away. Go check out Huxwrx Suppressors, Huxwrx Safety Company at huxwrx.com. That's HUXWRX
Huxwrx.com. I know that they are doing a lot of special deals and will hook you up. It says right now, create an account, take 15% off on their website, which is always awesome. Saving money is great, especially when you can save some money in your pocket and put it towards some more ammo or some more hunts. Go check them out. Mike, thanks for being on this podcast, brother, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your insight. Everybody, remember that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure and that you can never outgive good, as mentorship is conservation. I'm Johnny Mack for the Redneck Mafia. Be blessed, everybody. Freedom on. And as always, stay soulful.
If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating, as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group, as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.